growing and serious concerns that the United States could be pulled into a new regional war involving Iran as tensions escalate throughout the Middle East. The USS Eisenhower aircraft carrier is now set to operate in the waters near Iran for the first time since 2021. The U.S. is also reportedly planning for mass evacuations from Israel and Lebanon if the conflict expands. And the Pentagon warns it will hold Iran responsible for attacks on U.S. troops. All of this comes on the heels of an impending Israeli ground invasion of the Gaza Strip. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany, here with my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Emily Compagno. Also joining us, former State Department spokesperson and founder of Polaris National Security, Morgan Ortagus, an Army veteran, former NFL player, and host of the Jake Beckett Show podcast, Jake Beckett. The House Foreign Affairs Committee is set to receive a classified briefing on Iran in just hours. This comes as Iran-backed militia groups are preparing up attacks against the United States outposts in the Middle East, stoking fears that we'll be dragged into an armed conflict. Scary thought. We've already seen drone attacks at bases in Iraq and Syria, and now a senior defense official tells Fox News there's a significant threat of escalation on U.S. forces and personnel. And moments ago, Secretary of State Antony Blinken told UN leaders that further actions will be met with decisive action.
But if Iran or its proxies attack U.S. personnel anywhere, make no mistake, we will defend our people, we will defend our security swiftly and decisively. To all the members of this council, if you, like the United States, want to prevent this conflict from spreading, tell Iran, tell its proxies, in public, in private, through every means, do not open another front against Israel in this conflict. Do not attack Israel's partners. And we urge members to go a step further. Make clear that if Iran or its proxies widen this conflict and put more civilians at risk, you will hold them accountable. Act as if the security and stability of the entire region and beyond is on the line, because it is.
Those are the most extensive remarks we've heard on Iran from the administration thus far. And to that, let's bring in retired U.S. Army General Keith Kellogg, Fox News contributor, and former National Security Advisor to former Vice President Mike Pence. You know, General Kellogg, it struck me because those are the most extensive remarks we've heard about Iran. And I asked our brain room to go and search for the times that Biden has mentioned Iran since October 7th, the terrorist attack. I could find 4 mentions of Iran from the president. Let's play 2 of those.
Well, look, Kayleigh, thanks for having me today.
One moment, General Kellogg. Let's play those 2 remarks from President Biden.
Iran is supporting Russia in Ukraine, and it's supporting Hamas and other terrorist groups in the region, and will continue to hold them accountable, I might add. We've moved the U.S. carrier fleet to the Eastern Mediterranean, and we're sending more fighter jets there in that region, and made it clear to the Iranians, be careful.
There's limited fighting already on the northern Israeli border, and I wonder, what is your message to Hezbollah and its backer, Iran?
Don't.
General Kellogg, I wanted to play those remarks for you because it's astonishing to me that that's all we've heard from the president. I feel like our former boss, former commander-in-chief, President Trump, might have had different words. What do you think he would have said?
Yeah, well, look, messaging is so very important, and you know that, Kayleigh. Let me go back to what the President of the United States, Donald Trump, said in a State of the Union address. Very clear. You can pull it up. If you attack an American, your life is forfeit. Clear, simple, to the point. Not kill if you attack. And you have to have consistency, and you know that so very well from being in the White House. Have your message. Be it very concise, be it very consistent. Say it over and over and over again. And then when that happens, you follow it up with force if need be. That's how you send the message. You don't have all these words, don't, we'll think about it, maybe. No, it has to be clear. There's only about 7 or 8 people that people really listen to when they speak out of the White House. It's sort of like a giant funnel. You put all those words in there, and there's 8 people, be it the National Security Advisor, the President of the United States, or the Vice President, or the spokesman, who's ever out there. There's only a few. Listen to what they say. But our message has been very inconsistent because you're not really sure, okay, do they really mean what they say, and is it really a forceful enough message? Clear, concise, to the point, hasn't been there. I haven't seen it.
And I believe in cause and effect. I think that's how life works. And General Kellogg, I want to put up a cause and see what you think about the effect. So, number one, New York Times headline, Biden reverses Trump terror designation for Houthis and Yemen. We know Iran backs the Houthis. Okay, cause. Effect, let's bring up this headline from the New York Times. U.S. destroyer in Red Sea shoots down cruise missiles, potentially heading toward Israel. The missiles were fired by Iranian-backed Houthis. Yeah. Have they been emboldened?
Look, absolutely. Look, you see comments like that, and what was our response when the Houthis fired those missiles at our ship? Nothing. And that's where you have to respond very, very forcefully. You send the message, and then you respond with it using kinetic or force if you have to do it. And the whole world, and you know this, Kayleigh, from where you've been, the whole world is watching. They know that, okay, push back a little, don't really talk about it, don't make hard actions. You have to do that. And you have to be very, very consistent in your actions. If you do something, we're going to respond. And if you don't, they're going to keep saying, well, how far can I push you? And I've been in those situations, and so have you. When you sit in the Oval Office or you sit in the Situation Room, you know that they're testing you, and they're testing the United States today. And look what we recently just said. We're talking about comments about maybe evacuating citizens from Israel. No, you stay there. We talk about evacuating embassies. No, you stay there. You don't retreat from an embassy. You reinforce an embassy. And these are the symbols and the actions that everybody is looking for. Does the United States really mean this? It's words and actions combined. And they're not doing it. I'm just telling you, it's showing weakness, and they need to respond both forcefully, not posturing of forces, but I'm saying what they say and then the reaction to it. You have to sometimes, I hate to say this, Kayleigh, put it this way, sometimes you have to punch the other guy in the nose to get their attention. That's what Mike Tyson used to say. I think we need to do it as well.
I think that's right. And you also can't operate from a position of fear. This quote stuck out to me from Axios that never before has Axios talked to so many top government officials who in private are so worried about so many overseas conflicts. Officials tell us that inside the White House, this was the heaviest, most chilling week since Biden took office. Do you worry about the posture of the White House? That seems like a place of fear.
Well, look, even Bob Gates made the comment, your former Secretary of Defense and CIA director, this is the worst he's seen in the world in the last 75 years. And they compound themselves. Look, this is like a juggler juggling balls. And you add another ball and you add another ball, all of a sudden one of them is going to drop. How you stop that is you have to attack the first incident that comes up in a both diplomatically and by force as well, to stop it from escalating. Escalating means more actions occur. And you're seeing that occur. Right now you have, with China and Taiwan, you have North Korea, you have Ukraine, you have in Russia, you have what's happening in the Middle East right now. And you can only handle so many of these effectively. You've been, again, Kayleigh, you've been there in the Situation Room. If all of these come at you and they compound themselves, God only gives you so many hours in a day to respond effectively. That's the reason you have to, as the old Western saying is, cut them off at the pass. You have to attack it early. You have to attack it forcefully. You have to attack it diplomatically. And they're not doing that. And I just think this thing could spin out of control really easy if they don't watch out.
No doubt about it. General Keith Kellogg, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Harrison, I think Axios asked a really good question. You know who's watching? China. And you know what they're looking at? Taiwan.
Yeah, talk to the Philippines about how they feel this today after the weekend, right? I mean, I think everybody is on alert in that whole region. China could be on the move. We don't know what's next, but it's pretty easy to guess. You know, I had on Senator Sullivan from Alaska last hour. He'd just gotten back from a bipartisan CODEL, a visit to Israel, and he said something that was chilling. I've been asking about how more weaponry is on the ground in the hands, Jake in particular, you would know this, in Yemen with the Houthis. How's everybody suddenly getting all these weapons, like almost overnight? Well, you know what it was? because it was a week ago, I believe tomorrow, that the UN sanctions against ballistic missile sales on an open market expired. And why? Because we didn't fight. And what Senator Sullivan said, well, yeah, we could have snapped back. We could have pressed the UN not to release those, to ease those sanctions up. But we don't have any credibility on holding people to sanctions. So I don't know if they would have listened to us anyway. But the other thing we could have done was replace it with our own sanctions. Do you think we have the fire in the belly to do that? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that if we did have it, we wouldn't be caught off like, we're both moms, you're a mom. Your baby wakes up from a nap, and what are they like? They're groggy. That's Biden on all these issues. We are not leading. We're not even leading from behind. We haven't gotten out of the crib yet. This is particularly dangerous for us at a time when we have men and women deployed around the world. They are targets more than they have ever been, and now these guys are going to be armed more than they've been in years because Iran's sanctions on ballistics is gone. Drones, missiles, anything they want to get their hands on. And you can bet there's some software out there to help them with precision. Anybody sitting on the sidelines for that? Who knows? Because their relationship building has been, Iran has met with everybody's. They've even talked to Saudi Arabia for 45 minutes on the phone when this whole thing happened with Hamas invading and killing citizens, like the bloodthirsty hostage-taking evil that they are.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cause and effect. You know, Morgan, you've also been in the Situation Room. And a quote that just so vividly stood out to me was Secretary Bob Gates. He said, you know, there's a funnel at the top of the Situation Room. Right. You've seen that table. And you have all these issues, all these conflicts coming through. Remember, they're going to the same 8 or 10 people, and those 8 or 10 people only have such a bandwidth.
And those 8 or 10 people are also responsible for the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, and nobody was held accountable for it. And I have been screaming about this for 2 years, because when you don't hold your national security team accountable, when no one is fired, when no one even has the dignity or self-respect to resign after we lose 13 of our brave men and women in Afghanistan, then it has continued effects. So the same people that oversaw that disastrous withdrawal are the same people that thought they could get Putin to not invade Ukraine. That didn't work. 20 months later, we are still in that war. The same people who have ignored the warnings that myself, Mike Pompeo, and other former Trump administration officials have been saying for 3 years, which is this is the wrong policy on Iran. And so it's funny that the administration, the Axios quote that you just read, it's almost comical to me that they're waking up and sort of scared about the world. I mean, we saw this a year into the administration. Within 3 months of the Biden administration, after we handed them the Abraham Accords, within 3 months, Hamas was attacking Israel. Within 7 months, Kabul had fallen to the Taliban. Within a year, Russia had invaded Ukraine. That is just year one of the Biden presidency. So I knew that the next 3 years would not be any better. I'm incredibly worried what will happen after the Taiwanese elections in January. If you were Xi Jinping, what kind of calculation would you make? Would you wait for President Trump to come back?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it all comes as we know Xi and Putin, Emily, are coordinating their Middle East strategy, China and Russia.
Right. And while they enjoyed a meeting while Biden was in Israel, remember, they said it is strengthening their relationship. And I might add that meeting was attended as well by the UN Secretary General. I want to comment on what General Kellogg was saying earlier in this segment, because I want to remind everyone that per Secretary Austin's testimony before Congress, the U.S. has only had 4 major responses to Iranian-backed attacks on U.S. forces out of 83. And then you take that against the backdrop of Kirby on CNN now essentially sort of acknowledging or potentially saying for the first time that there were direct contacts with the IRGC, the Quds Force, the Revolutionary Guard, to conduct these attacks on our troops. So is that then creating actual evidence that Iran has, in fact, been in direct contact with these proxies? Would that then turn the tide of everything else we've been hearing from this administration, including General, for example, Ryder, that said we don't necessarily see that Iran has explicitly ordered this? And when you take that against the Axios quote that you read earlier, against WAPO saying that the administration, despite its forceful public support for Israel, is deeply alarmed by the prospect of escalation, and you put that against, as well as Jerry Baker writes in the Wall Street Journal, he says, our enemies, our axis of evil opportunism, they see us. They don't see triumph. They see a weakened and declining West. And he goes on to describe with particularity and accuracy exactly how we are viewed by our enemies right now. And all of that against this backdrop of don't. Absolutely ineffective, totally weak. And it is the U.S., our forces and our allies that
keep
will
doing
suffer
it.
for it.
Yeah, don't
isn't
is
working.
hardly a tough enough word for Iran when we have 2,500 troops, Jake, in Iraq, 900 in Syria.
I can tell you firsthand from my experience. I deployed to Iraq in 2019. We operated under the daily shadow of Iran-backed Shia militia groups within mortar range, very close. But we knew the difference between now and then is we knew back in 2019 we had a commander-in-chief who had our back. He meant business. And guess what? They kept the peace. They knew that if they killed or wounded American troops, there was going to be hell to pay. Now they know with Sleepy Joe, he's weak, he's feckless, he's ineffective. They know that they have him on the run. American forces are on the retreat worldwide. That's why our enemies are continuing to escalate on many different theaters.
Yeah, and worth underscoring, not a single American killed on President Trump's last year, that watch, because of his tough words.
Absolutely.
Well, he made a red line. And Biden's red line is something north of 30 Americans killed,
Right.
unfortunately. Heartbreaking. Well, and let's not forget the 13 in Afghanistan.
Yes.
And all the Afghanis who helped us.